New cars, new power units, and the same Monaco headaches? Maybe not this time. Over the last 20 years, the Monaco Grand Prix has earned a reputation for producing some of the least exciting racing on the F1 calendar. As Formula One cars have grown larger and wider, the narrow streets that once made Monaco legendary have started to create a major problem instead. What used to be the ultimate showcase of skill has often turned into a track where drivers are stuck in line with almost no room to make a move. Passing has become so difficult that qualifying on Saturday often feels more important than the race itself. Sure, the parties are famous, the yachts are packed, and the city buzzes with energy. But for fans watching the action, the race can sometimes feel painfully predictable. Some people joke that watching local drivers push small hatchbacks around neighborhood roads would bring more excitement. But could this year be different? Could Monaco finally deliver the drama fans have been waiting for? Today, we're breaking down exactly why this race might surprise everyone, so stick around. 2021 brought some of the biggest Formula One rule changes the sport had ever seen. Massive updates to the engine regulations introduced a much larger electrical element, while the removal of the MGUH helped reduce costs and made the new power units less expensive to develop. To support these engines, F1 also rolled out sustainable fuels made from 100% recycled carbon, marking a huge shift toward a cleaner future for the sport. The cars themselves went through a dramatic makeover too. They became narrower, shorter, and lighter, while teams were given more movable aerodynamic components to work with. Downforce levels were also reduced significantly, largely because of the simplified ground effect floor design. These changes completely altered how the cars behave on track and have had a major impact on racing. The new engines, however, have created some serious headaches. Fans have seen strange racing patterns, huge speed gaps, and plenty of debate about whether the regulations have really delivered what was promised. The sport is already working on solutions for the future. While the power units have sparked criticism, the aerodynamic changes have been a huge success, and arguably haven't received the credit they deserve because of all the attention on the engine issues. Last weekend in Canada at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, fans witnessed an intense 30-lap showdown between Mercedes teammates Andrea Kimi Antonelli and George Russell. The battle was a perfect example of how effective the newer aerodynamic regulations can be. For nearly 2 decades, one of Formula One's biggest struggles has been cars finding it difficult to stay within 1 second of each other, making close racing incredibly hard to sustain. When a driver starts closing in on the car ahead, they run into what's known as dirty air. That's the turbulent, disturbed airflow created by the leading car. Instead of clean air flowing smoothly over the chasing car's aerodynamic surfaces, that messy airflow reduces the effectiveness of the aero package and causes the car behind to lose downforce. And that creates a chain reaction. With less downforce, the tires slide more through corners, generating extra heat and wearing out much faster. Before this season, drivers often had only a few laps to launch an attack before their tires overheated. Once that happened, they usually had no choice but to back off by nearly 2 seconds to cool everything down before trying again. The result was racing that could become frustratingly predictable at times. Overtaking opportunities disappeared, battles ended before they really started, and drivers often found themselves trapped behind rivals with little chance of making progress. This isn't some new issue either. The problem stretches back decades, with many tracing it to the aerodynamic shifts that followed the introduction of grooved tires in the late 1990s. The FIA later attempted to tackle the dirty air problem with ground effect regulations, but the solution didn't fully deliver what many had hoped for. This season, though, things have started to look very different. The latest cars generate less dirty air, allowing drivers to stay closer together for much longer without destroying their tires. That's led to more wheel-to-wheel action and longer battles throughout races. The Mercedes fight between Andrea Kimi Antonelli and George Russell in Canada was a perfect example of that change in action. And when it comes to Monaco, a track where every tiny opportunity matters, that improvement could make a huge difference and create a race far more exciting than fans have become used to seeing. What should be the crown jewel of the Formula One season has, for many fans, turned into one of the least exciting races on the calendar in recent years. As F1 cars have grown to enormous dimensions, Monaco's famously narrow streets have become a major obstacle to good racing. On many parts of the circuit, a driver defending their position can simply place the car in the middle of the road, leaving almost no realistic opportunity for a rival to get alongside. Then there's the dirty air problem, which has only made things worse. Even when a driver wanted to launch an attack, staying close enough to make a move often came at the cost of overheating and damaging their tires. The result was races where track position became everything and overtaking became incredibly rare. Many fans still remember that famous Monaco race when Fernando Alonso dramatically slowed the pack behind him, creating a huge gap to the cars ahead and helping his teammate gain a strategic advantage during the pit stop phase. It became one of the most talked about moments from Monaco in the modern era. This season, though, there are reasons for optimism. The cars are now 100 millimeters narrower and 200 millimeters shorter. While that may not sound like a massive difference, every bit of extra space matters on a circuit as tight as Monaco. Even a small reduction in size can give drivers a little more room to attack, defend, and position their cars through the narrow sections of the track. But the biggest change could come from the aerodynamic improvements. With cars able to follow much more closely than before, drivers can keep constant pressure on the car ahead without immediately destroying their tires. That means more opportunities to force mistakes, challenge rivals, and stay within striking distance. This could become especially important during pit stop battles, where undercuts and overcuts have been the main way of gaining positions around Monaco for years. If drivers can remain closer on track, those strategic fights could become even more intense and unpredictable. Now that the cars can stay within a second of each other much more easily, the entire strategic picture could change in Monaco. Teams may no longer be able to rely on the same predictable tactics that have dominated the race in recent years. Drivers who can stay close to their rivals for longer could put far more pressure on strategy calls, pit stop timing, and race management. If the TV coverage does a good job of highlighting those battles, fans could finally get to see a much more intense strategic fight unfold throughout the race. Before we get into the next major rule change, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit the like button below. It really helps out the channel and is always appreciated. Thanks for the support. One of the biggest technical additions for 2026 has been the introduction of Formula One's new active aerodynamic system. This setup allows the front and rear wings to switch between a low drag mode on the straights and a higher downforce configuration through the corners. The goal is to improve aerodynamic efficiency while helping teams deal with the demands of the sport's latest generation of power units. Unlike DRS, the previous movable aerodynamic system that was mainly introduced to assist overtaking, the new straight-line mode was created with efficiency in mind. Its primary purpose is to reduce drag, improve energy usage, and help the cars operate more effectively over a race distance rather than directly creating passing opportunities. On circuits with long straights, this technology has played a huge role in helping the cars achieve competitive performance and manage their energy systems efficiently. But Monaco is a completely different challenge. The circuit is packed with slow-speed corners, heavy braking zones, and extremely short straights. Because drivers are constantly braking, there are far more opportunities to recover energy, reducing the need for straight-line mode in the first place. And here's where things get really interesting. The FIA publishes official track maps before every race weekend showing where straight-line mode can be activated. The version released for Monaco revealed something surprising. There won't be any straight-line mode activation zones at all. That's a major departure from what we've seen at other circuits this season, and could have a significant impact on how teams approach the weekend. The FIA's decision to leave out straight-line mode entirely in Monaco comes down to the unique nature of the circuit. The track simply doesn't contain sections that meet the criteria the governing body has established for activating the system at other venues throughout the season. According to the FIA, straight-line mode should only be used in areas where the cars are not operating right on the edge of available tire grip. That doesn't only apply to high-speed cornering loads. It also includes acceleration zones and heavy braking areas, where activating or deactivating the system could affect vehicle stability. The last thing officials want is cars becoming unsettled under power or braking and creating unnecessary safety risks for drivers. Monaco presents a particular challenge because the circuit is almost constantly demanding something from the car. Drivers are either turning, braking, accelerating, or preparing for the next corner with very little time spent traveling in a straight line. That relentless sequence of inputs makes it difficult to find suitable sections where the system could be used safely and effectively. But that's not the only reason behind the decision. The FIA has also introduced a minimum duration requirement, stating that each straight-line mode zone must last longer than 3 seconds. This prevents brief activations that would increase driver workload without providing any meaningful gain in performance or energy efficiency. On top of that, every activation zone must remain safe in all race situations, from low-fuel qualifying runs to the closing laps of a long stint when tire grip has naturally dropped away. When all those factors are considered, it's easy to see why Monaco didn't make the cut for straight-line mode this year. The top priority here is, and always will be, safety. That's the main reason the FIA has taken such a cautious approach with straight-line mode in Monaco. So what does this actually mean for the race weekend? Well, straight-line mode can reduce aerodynamic drag by roughly 20%, which helps increase top speeds by around 20 miles per hour. And considering Monaco teams run some of the highest downforce setups of the entire season, the speed gain could potentially have been even more noticeable around the famous street circuit. That said, while removing straight-line mode may slightly affect lap times, it probably won't have a major impact on the quality of the racing itself. The much bigger story is whether the smaller cars, improved aerodynamics, and reduced dirty air can finally transform Monaco into the exciting event fans have been waiting for. If drivers can follow more closely, apply constant pressure, and take advantage of mistakes, we could be in for a very different Monaco Grand Prix this year. Now it's your turn. Do you think the Monaco Grand Prix will actually improve under the new technical regulations? Or is Monaco still destined to be a track where qualifying decides almost everything? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with other F1 fans. Also, be sure to comment Monaco down below so I know you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.